Hi dear Odoos, and welcome back. Today, I will guide you through the creation of an effective dashboard using Odoo. So here's our use case for today. We are a retail company selling seasonal products. So our sales for each product will vary a lot according to the season. This is important because we give commissions to our salesperson and we want to define a commission policy that will take this seasonality into account. So our commissions will be depending on the product category, the quarter, the performance of the previous year, and the seniority of our salesperson. Let's see together the steps to create a dashboard available for each salesperson using these criteria. Our first step will be to prepare the data. This means define the commission policy, retrieve past data, and finally, establish future targets. Let's see this inside Odoo. Okay, so we are here in our spreadsheet environment. We have already defined our commission policy. So we have this small table here. What does it mean? It means that for any amount above the target, we will receive this commission rate. This is not really self-explanatory, so we can check for a base amount, a target of $1,000. What it means is that if our salesperson achieves $1,400 of sales, he will receive a 14.40% commission on $400, meaning $57.60. Our goal of the policy is to be an incentive to sell more, so we need it to increase over time. We can check that by just coming here and adding a small graph to see how commission will evolve through the different sales. To do this, I will just go to Insert, Chart, and naturally, the environment understood that I want to take the full table, so it will display my commission, and we can see that according to the amount I will sell, I will receive more and more commission with a small decreasing rate over time.
That's great, Hugo, but how can I link my actual results with the targets?
Okay, so to do this, I will have to go back into the Odoo backend, and I will go and find my sales results. So I will jump into my sales application and into the reporting menu right here. I want to actually take a pivot view here in order to have all the data for the past year. So I will remove this filter with the order date. Then I want to order my table to take the dimension that we talked about. So meaning the quarter and the product category. So here I will add my quarter on the top. And on this side, I will first add the product category, which is right here. And I will then add a second dimension, which is the salesperson, because our target are defined for each salesperson, and I will expand this full table. So here I see all the results for the past for all my salesperson, and I will now want to insert this inside my spreadsheet. So we'll click on this button and find my commission policy right here to add it to the same spreadsheet. Okay, so I have my table available right there. But I see that I made a small mistake because I only have the quantity ordered and I want my commission to be based on the total amount of what I sold. So I will just change the measure right here by coming here, adding the total. Okay, and I see it is not displayed and I have a small message telling me to actually put a dynamic formula equal pivot 1. So to do this, I will add a new sheet and call this formula here. Okay. Up, and I see the full table coming back with the total and the quantity ordered. This one I don't need it, so I will remove it for the moment, and I will also remove this sheet here.
Okay, so we got the data. How do we compute the target?
Well, a good measure for that would be to take the median amount of the sales for each category and for each quarter. So we are not too much influenced by the outliers and the big numbers, and we have a good target for each quarter. To do this, I will come back to this sheet, go down, and I will create a small table with the target for each category. So right here, my category 1, category 2, and drop this down. Then I will take the median for each of them. So up, to do this, I will just type median of then this amount, all these amounts here. The next one will be same thing, but for category 2. Up. So category 2 here, up the third one, and the last one here. Okay. So once I have this, I can just pull the table to the side to compute it for each quarter, but I will stop here to not compute it for 2024, because for 2024, I want to compute estimated targets based on the growth rate of the previous year. So we'll just add the dates here at the top of my table by saying equal to this, right? And to compute the growth rate, I will take all the results from 2022 over the result, well, all the result from 2023 over the result of 2022. So that would be the sum of all these amounts right here over the sum of these amounts here. Okay, so I can see that my sales increased by a ratio of 120% over the year. So I will consider that for 2024, I want to have the same increase, meaning I will say that 2024 targets are equal to this table here times this rate. Okay. So I just computed all the targets. I want to have now a bit better numbers that are more round. So in order to do this, I will say equal round of this table here of 2 decimal minus 2 decimal pieces up, and we get nice round number right here. I will also put my header, so I have my full table with the commissions that I want to obtain for each category. Here I also need a small space in order to have the same way of writing as in the table. So I will pull this down and copy it right there. Okay, I will just do one last step, is to copy this full table and paste it as values so that I'm sure that it won't be affected when I will play with filter afterwards, and that my targets are now fixed for every year. So now that we have defined these targets, we are ready to compute the commissions. So we can go over step 2, which will be to manipulate a pivot in order to add these commissions. So our second step is to manipulate the data. To do this, we will create measures into our pivot table. The first measure that we'll create is the target, to see what is the target per category and per quarter. Then compute how much above the target each salesperson is. Then I will compute the commission rate that applies to this target, to this amount. And then finally, the final commission amount. So we can go into Odoo to see how we can do this. I will move my table with my targets to another sheet so that I'm sure it's not a problem anymore. So put it here and call it target. And paste up my table. I just need to paste it as values as well in order to have all the data. Then I will come back to my sheet, and here I need to go to my pivot properties that are already open, but you can also open the pivot properties right here and go to the measure section in order to add a new measure. So my first measure is to get the target. So I will come here, click on the add button, and add a new calculated measure. There I will call it target. And to get it, I will need two different functions, which are a lookup and a match, because I want to do a lookup inside my target table. So to do this, I will call the hlookup function. My search key will be the quarter, and I will search into this table here. Up. With an index that needs to match my category. So to do this, I will add the match formula of my category and I will want to match what is in the column A in this case. Yeah, that was okay. And the search type, I need to put false for both. Okay. So when I do this, I can see that my target will now appear into my big pivot table. And for each amount and each quarter, I will receive the right target on the side. Okay, so now that I have the target, I can compute a second measure, which will be how much above the target is the person. So to do this, same thing, add a calculated measure, and I will call this one percentage above target. This time, it will be equal to the total that my salesperson sold over minus the target over the target. So I can call here the price total minus the target, and you can see the measure that I created is available here in my formula, over the target. Okay. This one needs to be a percentage, so in order to switch it to a percentage, I will just click on the cell and add the percentage right here. So I can check if that result is good, and here I can see this salesperson, for example, sold above 5,800, and we receive a percentage that looks pretty good, 9.32%. Okay. Now that I have this percentage above target, I need to check into my commission policy, what is the commission rate that will apply to that percentage. So same thing, I will need to do a lookup formula. So I will add, once again, a new measure, which will be, in this case, the commission rate. Okay. Commission rate then will be equal to VLOOKUP of our percentage above target into this table right here. The range will be then 2 up. So first of all, I need to VLOOKUP not for the range, but for the percentage above target into this table up. The index will be 2. And in this case, the data is sorted, so I need not to put a 0, but a 1 in the formula. Here I have a spill error because I added so many measures, my table is too big to be displayed. So I have a solution which is to either add new columns, or I can also hide the measures that I don't need anymore by just clicking on the small I right here to see the last amount. So here I only have my commission rate left. So the last step to compute my commission is to take this commission rate and to apply it to the amount above the target. So I will, for the last time, add a new calculated measure here. That will be my commission amount. And this will be the total minus the target times the rate. And here I will have my commission amount displayed. I don't want to see my commission rate anymore, so I can hide it as well. And I will now have a full table computing the commission for every salesperson for each quarter. So this is all with the manipulation of the pivot. We can now move to the first step, which will be to visualize that data in a better dashboard. In order to better visualize our data, we will add a few things. First of all, filters. To be able to filter on one specific salesperson or a couple of salesperson and only see their results, and a filter on the date to be able to only filter on one specific date as well. Then I want to add a small table that will show me the performance over the last quarter in each category, so I can analyze every product category as a whole without having the salesperson in the way. And finally, I want a small table that will show me the target achievement per product category, so meaning what was the target and what was the actual result in a small graph in order to better see it. Okay, so let's go back once again into Odoo to see how we can do this. So first of all, I want to apply my filters. I could go here and select the filters that will be like Excel filters, but it's better to use what we call the global filters. Global filters are available right here, and they are more powerful because they will filter the data before it is even loaded inside the database. So I'll click on this filter button and add two filters. First of all, a filter on the salesperson. So the salesperson is a field on my sale that is connected to a certain user. So I need to connect to the model user in order to filter on the salesperson. So here I will select related model user, call my filter salesperson, and then I also need to put a field matching. This field matching is really important because our sales model is connected to multiple users. You have the person that created the sale, you have the person that last modified it, or you can have the salesperson. Here, the field matching is already done. It's connected to the salesperson, but it's important to look this very carefully. So I will save my filter, and now I'm able to filter on any salesperson and see my table evolve to only see the result of this salesperson. I can now add my second filter, which will be the date. So I will also add a filter called date. And here I have different options. So I can create one for a specific month or quarter, a relative period, meaning the last 7 days, last 3 years, or things like that, or a from to, where I can really select 2 dates, very specific manually. In this case, I will only take the month, quarter, and allow to select only quarters or year into the selection. Once again, I need to do my field matching. In this case, I need to take the order date. It could have been other date, but I choose the order date for this. Okay, so we can check it works as well. If I select the year 2024, I only see the results of 2024. So the filters are now good. And I can go over to the tables that I want to add. The first table wants to see all the results for each category of product over the last quarter. So to do this, I need to go back to my pivot properties. I will open the pivot properties here, and I will want to change the way my table is computed. So instead of having the columns here at the top, which is the order dates, and the rows are product category and salesperson, I will move the product category to the columns in order to have, for each quarter, all the products explained. So I can just do this by sliding this information. And once again, I have a spell formula because it couldn't explain. It's okay, because I only want to see the result for the last quarter. So here I will modify my formula. And check, you have different possibilities here. And I will want to limit the column count, which is the last one. So I will just go over to the column count and say this is limited to 4 columns. If I do this, I will see my 4 categories for the last quarter. So I can now take my table and add it to my future dashboard right here, just by copying this table, and I will get the full result. I will just put a small table here to have a nicer display. And I have my first element of my dashboard. Then I also wanted to have a small table that shows me what was the target and what was the actual revenue that I obtained. To do this, I will go over to some more complicated formula. So first of all, I will want to call my pivot header in order to get the quarter I'm talking about. So I only have one pivot table, which is number 1. So I will select this one. Then I will take the domain field name. And in this case, you can see I have different possibilities. Date quarter or hashtag date quarter. I will want to take hashtag date quarter because the hashtag means that I take them in order of the pivot table. So if I put hashtag date quarter 1, it will take the first quarter that was in my table, which means in this case, Q1 2022. Then I want to see all of the categories. My categories are here. So I will do the same thing, copy actually the same formula, and add another piece to the formula to actually filter on one specific category. So same thing, I will come here and take hashtag category and take the number 1 in order to get the first category in the list, which is category 1. Here I will change once again this small formula to get the 4 category. And to do this, I can use another formula, which is called sequence. And sequence will return 4 numbers from 1 to 4. So we'll just say sequence 4 up. And by doing this, it will get me the 4 category. So for each of these category, I want to know what was the target and what was the actual revenue. So I will put the target here and then the revenue. In order to get those values, I can just copy my formula here, and I will change the pivot header to be a pivot value instead. If it is a pivot value, I need to have the measure that I want to compute. The measure will come in second place, so I will come right here, up, and call my measure. You can see they are proposed here. In this case, I want to see what was the target, so I select the measure target and enter. And boom, I have the 4 targets right there. Then I will select a last element, which is the revenue. So same thing, I can copy my formula, put it right here, and change just what was the measure. And I will take, in this case, the price total to see what was the actual revenue that I had. I will also put this into a nice table. There. And add a small graph to better display this. So I can just take this area, insert, add a chart. And here I have directly the right graph coming, and I can compare easily what was my target and what I actually achieved for each category in the last quarter that I have. Here, in this case, it's the first quarter. So I will just change one last element to my pivot, and to say that I want to have the order date by descending order. So my table here will return Q4 of 2024, and this table return the last quarter as well. And everything looks perfect. So I think I finished with my dashboard. I actually obtained everything that I wanted to have.
That's nice, but how do I take into consideration the seniority of the salespeople?
That's right, we wanted to add that measure. To do this, I will need to go back to the Odoo backend to add some more information, because I will need to base myself on the first contract date of my employees. So to do this, I can go into my employee application and get the list view of my employees in order to get this field, first contract date. I will now need to add this list inside my spreadsheet. So to do this, I can just go to the cogwheel here, go to spreadsheet and insert list in spreadsheet. I can see that it will add the 21st element, but I need actually maybe more than that. So if I have new employees, they will come up in the future as well. So I will change this number to 30 in order to be sure. And I will add this list into the same sheet, my commission policy right here. So I can confirm, and it will create my list right here. I can see that it will have a lot of more information than my employee and my first contract date. So I will delete some columns in order to save the loading time and not to load those information that are not really interesting for me. Okay, so now that I have this, I still need to compute the seniority, because the first contract date is just a date. So to compute the seniority, I will add a column right here that I will call seniority. And to compute it, I will use the date diff formula. So it will just be date diff. The start date will be the first contract date. The end date will be based then on today. So I can just type the function today. And the unit will be month. So here, I will directly see the number of months for which each my employees have worked in the company. Now I want to take this into account into my commission computation. So I will go back to my pivot right there and add once again a new measure in order to add my seniority directly into my table. So I will click on add calculated measure, and I will call this measure seniority. So the seniority, I need to look it up into my table. So I will use the VLOOKUP function. For my search key will be the salesperson. So I can select here my user ID, which is the salesperson, that I will take into this table right there. I want the third column, and the table is not sorted, so I will put a 0. And here I can see the month appearing into my table. But this is not everything. I have the seniority, but now I need to compute the target coefficient that I need to apply on the target. Meaning that if I have somebody that has been in the company for 36 months, I expect him to do 110% of the target. So to do this, I will once again add a new measure that will be, this time, the seniority rate. Seniority rate. And the seniority rate, I will look up for my seniority into this small table here, where I want to get then the second column, and the data is sorted, so I will put a 1 to say true. And right there, I will see appear the coefficient that I need to apply on my target. I will just do a divide by 100 in order to have a percentage and not a big amount. Okay. Once I have the seniority rate, I need to add it into my target computation. So we'll go back to my target right there and add just the times seniority rate up, which is there. And by doing this, I've added the seniority inside my table. I can just hide the measures that I don't need, and my commissions have been updated right there. So I'm done with the table, and everything is good to publish it as a dashboard. And that's how it's done. Let's recap through the steps that we went through. If you want to create a dashboard, first, be sure to do a good preparation. Define what you want to achieve and identify the data you need and where it is in the database. Once you load all the data, you can start your manipulations. You can use dynamic tables, calculated measures, combine your different sources of data, and use filter. Then only at the end, focus on visualization. Adapt your filters, create summary tables, duplicate your pivots, and create graphs. With all of that, it's now your turn to create beautiful dashboards. Thank you and goodbye.